So those are one-and-done games. Obviously, we're all over them all morning long. But back to the NFL playoffs here, and we're going to do a feature called One-and-Done or Super Bowl Run. I will name a team, and you guys tell me whether you think this team is likelier to be one-and-done in the playoffs or make a run all the way to the biggest game. Domonique, I'm looking right at you.
All right.
You start with the Chicago Bears.
I was early on the Bears. I love the Bears. However, the answer to this question is they're more likely to be one and done. I mean, this Bears team, they're very good. They run the hell out of the ball. They have an inexperienced coach, inexperienced quarterback, and a boom or bust defense that busts a little more than you like in the playoffs. So, like, I have to say, I think they're more likely to be one and done.
So to be clear, are you telling me you think they lose Saturday night to their arch rival Packers?
Well, Greedy, the construct of the question is it one or done or win the Super Bowl?
Ain't no in-between.
Two and done.
Yeah.
I think there's a strong chance that they could beat them, but I was playing your game. This is your damn game, Greedy. I'm following your rules.
I blame Fink.
Okay.
Anyway, if they win that game, then they would, in theory, get the Eagles next, and that game would be in Chicago, and the Bears have already won that game on Black Friday in Philadelphia. The Bears is a playoff team. Sometimes we'll look at these teams that we feel are ahead of schedule, young quarterback, all that sort of thing. How much confidence do I live with a lot of Bears fans? How much confidence do you have if you're a Bears fan this week, at least going into this game Saturday night against the Packers?
I am confident. Listen, I think you run the ball well. You have an opportunistic defense, which again, with Jordan Love coming back from being off, how does that rust kind of play in? They know each other well. Look, I've been in these games where you're playing a team the third time in a row. You know each other. Ain't gonna be any surprises. They're the most physical team. They're going to have to play that way to get the win come Saturday night.
You think about it, that interception Caleb Williams throws in the first matchup where he has his tight end open and Nixon makes a great play. They're that close to tying that game up, potentially going for two and winning that football game. So I do think the Bears have a good chance. They played now 3 times in the last 6 weeks. This is going to be one hell of a game, and it's been heroics at the end that have won it. So I can't wait to watch this one.
What are you looking at here, Graz?
I think the experience the Packers have played in these games before, the Bears have not. That's the kind of thing I look at as a tiebreaker when I'm talking about two rival teams that literally play each other every other week at this point. Yeah. And I don't know how to decide between the two of them which one's better because both of those games were close. So I think the Packers playoff experience might play a role here.
Okay, that's one of the games that we're looking at here. Let's go to the next one. J-Mac, let's talk about the New England Patriots. Are they likelier to be one and done or make a Super Bowl run?
I'm going to go Super Bowl run, and Domonique just said it. I think they beat the Chargers, so I don't think they're going to be one and done. This is the same team that's similar to the Chicago Bears, where there is some inexperience on Drake May's part, playing his first ever playoff game. But the difference is Mike Vrabel has been there. He has been the head coach for the Tennessee Titans when they have gone on a playoff run. I think this is a young team that finds a way to win a few games, and let's see what they can do.
What do you think of New England going into this dance, Jeff?
Listen, I like it. Vrabel knows how to minimize the moment, and I think that allows players to play fast. He doesn't let you get overwhelmed in it. He's going to talk about fundamentals. Listen, man, once the whistle blows, by the way, the dude's played in a bunch of big games. He's coached in a bunch of big games. This is not his first rodeo. And there's something about the bliss. Ignorance is bliss. There's something about that when you're talking about the Patriots. I like where they are.
He's a coach that knows his team. I was on the sideline for the game on Sunday in Foxborough. They get an interception late, and there's a flag on the play, and the guy who got the interception is celebrating. But then he stops because he sees the flag, and Vrabel's getting it like it's on the other team. So he actually shoves the guy toward where the end zone where everybody else is celebrating the interception.
Yeah.
Go over there and celebrate with your guys. And then he was doing the thing with him.
I know that feels like a small thing, but
not.
as we enter these coaching cycles every year, and we hear everyone talk about this offensive guys, quarterback coaches.
Right.
No, the things about head coaching a team is not about whispering to a quarterback.
Amen.
Yeah.
Mike Vrabel can't play quarterback. I don't think he's ever whispered in his life.
Nope.
But you know what? He's a football coach. And I think that when these teams, these owners start looking for coaches, you can't always be looking for the guy that you're not going to find a Shanahan, McVay. You can find them, then go for it.
Right.
But finding someone who's like a mediocre offensive coach is just saying, but he knows quarterbacks, doesn't mean he should get hired.
He knows when it's time to yell at him. He knows when it's time to celebrate with him. And I think that's vital.
Graziano will be there for that game for us for Sunday NFL Countdown. All right, last one will be the Eagles. Jeff, you've been high through every up and down of their season. You've remained steadfast. Are they more likely one and done or Super Bowl run?
I ain't off this bandwagon, baby.
Let's
Super
go,
Bowl
Jeff.
run with some conviction. Say it with your chest, baby. Hey, listen, I like the way they're matched up. I think They're finding their rhythm. They understand what they got to do. I didn't love they didn't play for the 2 seed, but again, Sirianni, I think, knows his team. He wants guys to be fresh and healthy. He's not really worried about who they're playing as long as they're healthy. Their defense is going to give them a chance in every game. And if Hurts plays just above average and they can run the ball somewhat well, it will be a tough team to beat.
Yeah, I think this is a great matchup for them. And I think we've seen them against bad defenses or mediocre defenses explode. I think they're probably going to have that. We're going to come out of this game feeling really confident about the Eagles. And then they're going to have to face a little tougher competition. And I think that might be a different story.
Let me ask you a question from the players' perspective. The 49ers, and I thought they said all the right things. Shanahan, after their loss on Saturday night, Shanahan said the right things, and George Kittle in particular got up there and talked about, man, that loss was terrible, but now we got an opportunity. But my goodness, with what they had in front of them, all the conversation about everything being at home, including the Super Bowl and the week off, now they lose that game, turn around quick and have to be ready to go to Philadelphia. That can't be an easy spot, just psychologically.
I lived it in a sense of 2019 with the New England Patriots. We're playing Miami in the last game of the season, and Gesicki catches one in the back of the end zone. And when I tell you, when we walked in the locker room after that game, I already knew we were losing that next week when the Titans came in that wild card game. Our entire locker room was completely deflated because guys understood what that win would have meant for us to get that bye week and to be in that position. I think to your point, hearing Shanahan and hearing what George Kittle said, I remember speaking up in the locker room because I was the new guy. I got to New England, and all of them were used to getting there. I'm like, hell, we still get to go to the playoffs, right? Like, I don't have to go home. When you heard San Francisco after that game, immediately they had already turned the page. So I think that sets them up mentally in a good place for it.
Just personnel-wise, thinned out defense got hit again. Tatum Bethune, the linebacker, who's been filling in for Fred Warner, now he's out. How many losses can that defense absorb personnel-wise?
The other thing is the style of loss. They got that was a physical beating.
Saturday, we've got 2 of them. Prime time, Jeff, we will have the Packers and the Bears, their 3rd ever postseason meeting. What's the number one thing you're watching for in this matchup? Jeff.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was gone.
It's a Palooza, man. Lock in.
I was
Palooza too hard.
Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, which guy makes the fewest mistakes of the day? I was totally in a different land. This is going to be a game that is decided by which of these 2 quarterbacks makes the least amount of errors. This is a massive matchup against 3rd time you're playing. Which guy can pick this thing together?
J-Mac, you're next.
Good recovery. I thought he's up in the
J-Mac, I'm coming to you next. Sunday, 3 more games on the schedule. Headlined by Niners and Eagles. What are you watching for in that matchup?
The way Jeff said, oh, my goodness. Everyone's going to be talking about this Philly offense. I'm looking at the defense. Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator, he has to be the best coach out there on the football field. If they don't allow the 49ers to get over 20 points, I think Philly walks away victorious in this game.
And then Monday night, it all wraps up. Domonique, the Texans visiting the Steelers in Pittsburgh. What are you watching in that
I'll be
game?
watching the Steelers defense. I think it's going to be obvious that the Steelers offense is going to have a real tough time against that Texans defense. Can the Steelers defense hold the Texans offense under wraps, which I think with that offensive line and the Steelers, the way that they played against the Ravens, they have to eliminate those explosive plays. But other than that, they can keep. No, I think that they played well outside of explosive plays, which I know sounds silly, but it means that they were consistently, I think, pretty good against the Ravens, considering what they are. I think going up against this Texans offense, which isn't as good or isn't as talented at least as the Ravens offense, they have a chance if they can keep it close.
I didn't even know Zay Flowers was on the Ravens. Like, he's just running by people.
Fair.
I don't know, man.
Queen tried.
Nico Collins
just running
that film.
lifting the hand up.
It's another one of these games where like absolutely everything says the Texans should win it and win it easily. And historically, whenever everything says something should happen in the NFL, it just doesn't. Weird things just happen. So we'll see if they happen on our game on Monday Night Football. Okay, Graziano, a lot of other headlines. It is the coaching carousel season. Catch everybody up on what they may have missed yesterday.
Browns let go of head coach Kevin Stefanski. He's already being courted by other teams. We expect him to talk with several teams that have head coach openings. Adam Schefter, you see here, reporting that he's expected to speak with the Falcons, Giants, and Titans. I think he'll be an interesting candidate for teams, even though Cleveland just let him go. He's a 2-time coach of the year, and Cleveland's the kind of place that other teams don't necessarily hold against you. The Dolphins, head coach Mike McDaniel, still there. There's been a lot of speculation about his status. It's a team that fired its general manager mid-season, so obviously there's going to be speculation and uncertainty. For now, it appears Mike McDaniel will hold on to this job. He had a press conference yesterday where he said he expected to, until he hears otherwise, and that he would be involved in the discussions about the new GM search. So for now, it does appear as if Mike McDaniel is safe. What could change that? Well, if the candidate pool got a little deeper, and this is a lot of speculation around this situation in Baltimore with John Harbaugh. We don't have solid information that he's in trouble. I don't think he's going to get fired as head coach of the Ravens. But Baltimore is in a little bit of a look themselves in the mirror kind of phase right now off that loss to Pittsburgh in a disappointing season. I think there'll be some organizational meetings later this week. Harbaugh will be involved in those, what to do about the quarterback moving forward, what to do about the coaching staff moving forward, basically assessing what went wrong and what can be done about it.
So there's two different ways that one can look at the Ravens and their situation right now. One of them is they've had this ridiculously talented roster and have underachieved based upon postseason success. And I think that's a reasonable way. If I could sort of paraphrase our friend Teddy Bruschi, basically said this on Sunday, and it was before Sunday night, another one of these examples. He said, it's John Harbaugh didn't drop the ball going into the end zone 2 years ago. Zay Flowers did in a game they should have won and would have won. Mark Andrews drops the ball on the two-point conversion. John Harbaugh doesn't do that. This team sets up for a 42-yard field goal for a kid who hasn't missed a kick of that length the entire season, and they miss one. I guess what he's saying is, the coach, I understand the buck stops with you, but on some level.
No, I appreciate that, but he doesn't run the ball either, and he didn't make the pass. He doesn't make the catches, right? You don't ever, like as a head coach, I understand his argument, right? He thinks he's putting them in the position to get the wins. The bottom line is it's a wins and loss business. And they've had Lamar Jackson, they've had Harbaugh together for a number of years. They've won 3 playoff games together. And I get the Kansas City Chiefs have had a historic run, an epic run, all those things. But if you're the Baltimore Ravens and you're sitting there and you're wondering how's this thing going to play out, this roster at the beginning of this year was one that we all thought would at least be a playoff contender. Reevaluate what's going on. Has the message become stale? Are he and the quarterback's relationship a problem? And I appreciate what Teddy's saying, because the coaches don't make the mistakes. They don't also make the big plays, right? There's a lot that goes into those kinds of things. So you can't give one without the other. Something is going on in the building, and it makes it uncomfortable. And so whether that's Lamar Jackson, the way he responded to the question about John Harbaugh, is it the coordinators, and are they going to keep their jobs? Something, you don't go through a season like this unscathed as an organization. Something is going to have to give.
Yeah, this has been an incredibly stable organization and well-planned out decisions. It feels like this would be a hasty one in making a decision about Harbaugh at this point after 19 years. I know that sounds a bit absurd, but the fact that this team has been really successful for an extended period of time, I think you could easily make the argument that you just stay with it. He's a coach who's shown that he can win a Super Bowl. It doesn't seem like he's the problem.
But the quarterback,
it's not obvious to me. I'm not in the building.
But the quarterback's got to be on board.
Yeah.
If Lamar's, that's what I'm saying in the room. Like when you heard what Lamar said post game, and again, I don't think he was being vindictive in what he said. It just didn't feel like there was kumbaya. Like it didn't feel like there was this unified message between the two. And let me tell you, besides the GM and the head coach and the quarterback, they got to be linked in. Like, especially that guy. Your whole organization is built around Lamar Jackson. That just didn't feel right.
And I look at this from their perspective, and you just said it, 19 years, and that's a long time to be married and be together. And you have to go through some type of tough conversations to try to figure out where you go from here. So the Lamar Jackson of it all, the John Harbaugh, you bring those guys together and figure out, can you move forward? But what Harbaugh has shown us is the ability to adapt.
Yeah,
Greg Roman was the offensive coordinator, and then he switches over to Monken, and that unlocks a different version of Lamar Jackson. Wink Martindale was the defensive coordinator, then McDonald, now Zach Orr. So he has shown us that I can make the moves to keep this team relevant and successful. The question now going forward is, this iteration of these guys hasn't had the playoff success. So, no, it's not John Harbaugh. But when the running backs only had 6 carries in the AFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs, that's a coaching thing that you can change. This year, when you start the season off and the defense isn't up to par and the offense is rolling, and then it flip-flops in the middle of the season, those things are blamed on the coach to have everybody on the same page and operating.
That's right. I would say this. I think about Andy Reid a lot because of the Philly, and then you move on from Philly to Kansas City.
Yeah.
Okay, and it was a 10-year run in Philly. You're talking about 19 years, and this is the same with Mike Tomlin. The only other coach that we know that has been in one place is Bill Belichick, and he stacked a bunch of Lombardis. Right. We got one each. Like, that's a lot of. And look, I'm not saying one is right or one is wrong, but what I'm saying is fans want trophies. And if they have a Lamar Jackson, they feel like they have a player good enough to win a Super Bowl.
Here's the only thing I would say to those fans, because I understand it.
Talk to him.
Man, be careful what you wish for.
I agree
Hole out there.
If you have John Harbaugh, cling to him like dear life.
Streets are lonely.
Because the alternative to being married 19 years, and you just said that's a long time, you're
I was going to say.
explain.
We just
it's not that
why
long.
did you bring that up?
I was like, we got to roll by that. We won't bring it back up.
Don't do it, Greeny.
I've been married 28 years. It doesn't seem that long.
Exactly.
But the point I'm making
Not long
here is
enough.
the next thing you know, all of a sudden you're married to, I don't know, like Adam Gase and Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich and Aaron Glenn, and you're like, man, this sucks. So that's not better. It's not
enough therapy.
Look, the Jets have had that many coaches.
I'm well aware.
If you count up the number of coaches that some teams have had and the amount of time they've had there and the amount of total success those people have had, it's not as easy as just saying, well, get rid of John Harbaugh. We'll solve our problems.
I agree.
To me,
had a lot of good times in
from
Baltimore.
from a fan's perspective, if you're sitting with Lamar Jackson at that position, the wait gets long for these guys, and that's just the reality. They won 3 playoff games
Jets haven't
together.
had a Lamar Jackson.
They haven't had anybody. Yeah, I mean, I know you got PTSD.
That's enough with the Jets.
Stop.